What's up? What's up? What's up, creators with the cameras off?
What's happening?
How y'all doing? What's going on, James?
So you got to keep the hackers out.
Feeling good. Feeling good.
I know that's right. Oh, I think some people might have fell off. What's up, LaShonda?
Hey, hey, how are you?
Doing well.
Uncle Chase. That's
Uncle
your name. That's
Chase.
my name for you, Uncle Chase.
Uncle Chase. Y'all, I'ma just be transparent with y'all because y'all my crew. So so this is my youngest brother, right? I have two other brothers, so I'm the oldest, then I have a middle brother, and then this is my youngest brother. So he's probably around like 27 or so. Um, and none of us ever thought he would be the first one to be married and have a child, and so it all happened very quickly. I'll just say that. But like this whole time I've been kind of like like not really thinking about it much. I was like, he's a kid, he don't know what he getting himself into, all this kind of stuff. But yesterday, like, me and my family, we were all FaceTiming multiple times last night. And then, like, once the baby got here, I don't know, that's when this I don't even know how to explain it. Like these feelings came over me, and then I was like thinking about how my aunts and uncles were with me growing up, and like my aunts played a huge role in my life, and I was like, dang, I think that's what I am for this kid, like. So it just all hit me. There's an overwhelming feeling of excitement and love throughout the family and stuff. I don't know. It's something I never experienced before. So
That's
it's kind of,
awesome. That's such a blessing.
yes, 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 yes. All right. So today we are gonna be working and talking about thumbnails. So LaShonda, I'm not sure if you've ever been on one of these calls, but this is for our Creator Academy community, which most of them have transitioned over to the apprenticeship also. So we do these ongoing trainings, and we open it up to the apprentices also. So there's a full schedule and calendar, but today we are focusing on thumbnails. So for your YouTube videos, for Instagram videos, things like that. And I'm gonna go deep into not only just the thumbnails, but how to create them, what to create, all that good stuff. And I was hoping that what's her name was gonna be on here because she's heavy with videos. Ozzy. I'm not
Ozzy
sure. Yeah.
and Natasha
Um,
and Natasha.
and Natasha. Yeah. Maybe Christian, would it be possible for you to send a quick note to them to see if they're able to hop on this? Because yeah, I really want them to see this as well. Now, before I get into it, like I do every one of these trainings, are there any um questions or thoughts or ideas that you all have that you want to make sure that I cover today as it relates to thumbnails?
For me, this is exactly what I was looking for, and I think I put it in one of my weekly intake forms.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, cool. So, starting with thumbnails, obviously everybody knows that the thumbnail is the image that you see pretty much while you're scrolling on YouTube. Couple things: when you are looking for a video, you see the thumbnail, you see the title, and you sometimes will see the number of views, who created it, all of that stuff. But typically, the biggest thing out of all of those is the thumbnail. So, why is the thumbnail important? Well, the thumbnail leads to one big metric, that is your click-through rate. Okay, so your click-through rate. When we talk about the YouTube algorithm, YouTube is measuring how many people click on your video first, and then how long are they watching that video? How are they engaging? Are they hitting that thumbs up button? Are they commenting? But the one important part of it is getting them to actually click on your video. And several factors go into making someone want to click. Oftentimes, as creators, we can think that, oh, this video has such great information. Everybody needs to see this. It's going to do so well because I packed so much into it. However, if nobody clicks on that video, then they don't have that opportunity to even see how good that video is. So your first point of defense is the thumbnail. Now, I want to go over a couple of thumbnail mistakes that oftentimes people do. All right. And no shade if you're currently doing this, but they're mistakes. One, the biggest mistake is people try to put so much text in the thumbnail. All right. People commonly use the thumbnail and the title interchangeably. So let's just say my video was about how to buy a house. Well, oftentimes people will put how to buy a house all in the thumbnail. Okay, that's a mistake. Another mistake of the thumbnail is your text being too small. Okay, you got to think about it. Well, text and images being too small. You got to think about it. This is a thumbnail, and oftentimes people are watching videos on their phones. And so when you create that thumbnail, it may be big on your computer, but you have to think about somebody seeing that thumbnail that big. Okay. And so when you are packing so much into that thumbnail, making that text small, your images are small, people can't really tell what your video is about. Another thing about thumbnails is, or people just finding videos off the cuff, is most people, they don't even read the title of the video. Okay. They oftentimes will make a decision based on what they see on that thumbnail. So you don't want to make the mistake of not having an attractive thumbnail. All right. So let's talk about the thumbnails. All thumbnails come in the same size. Whenever you are creating a thumbnail, whether it is on Photoshop or on Canva or whatever, I want you to write this size down. 1028, so 1028 by 720. Okay. One thing, especially as I mean 1280 by 720, especially as we get deeper into creation of things, you're going to hear me refer to sizes. When we're talking about images, the metric for images is pixels. So in any program, if you see px, that means pixels. Okay. You know, we have inches, feet, that kind of stuff. That's not your measurement for images. It's always measured in pixels. So your measurements 1280, so 1280 by 720. That is going to give you the horizontal. Okay. Another reason why you want to make sure that it's 1280 by 720 is going to be for your actual image quality. Even though it may still look like that same thumbnail size, you know, that same little rectangle, if it's not truly 1280 by 720 and it's scaled down, when that thumbnail gets enlarged in some places, it'll look blurry. Okay, so always make sure it's at least 1280 by 720. Okay, let's talk about colors when it comes to thumbnails. Let's talk about colors. Do you all have dark mode on your phone or on your computer? Do you have light mode? Okay. Commonly, dark mode and light mode are what? White and black. So, rule of thumb, you never want the background of your thumbnail to be white or black because it just blends in. So, you always want to avoid using white or black. Another thing is when it comes to your colors, you always want to think about what is going to catch someone's eye. Okay, what is going to catch someone's eye? So when we're talking about thumbnails, we commonly don't use pastel colors. Okay, we commonly don't use the monochrome colors, so like grays, like I said, blacks, whites. We use bright colors, yellows, pinks, reds, blues. Okay, you want your thumbnails to be bright. So for instance, if we're thinking about blue right now, and I was creating a thumbnail, you see the blue in my background versus the blue in LaShonda's shirt. We would never want to have the blue that's in her shirt. You always want to go for a bright color scheme that's going to pop. Okay, bright color scheme. Along with your colors, we also have your typography or your text, your letters. Those letters, if you're using them, you always want them to be bold, bolded letters. Now, whites and blacks are okay for your letters, right? As long as they are being put on a bright and colorful background. Okay, because then your letters get to pop. But refrain from using thin fonts. So, you know, those fonts that are super skinny and thin, even though it may look cool when you're creating it, it's going to look super small on that thumbnail. Okay, go for some of the boldest fonts that you can find if you're trying to get someone to read what's on your thumbnail. And I'll get back to that because you actually don't have to use text, but I'll get back to that. Okay, now let's talk about the tools and editing. Okay, the tools and editing. Believe it or not, nowadays I edit all of my thumbnails in Canva. I edit all of them in Canva. We love Canva. It's free. I used to, back in the day, edit them in Photoshop before Canva was around, but Canva's so much easier. And you have all the tools that you need to create a full-on thumbnail in Canva. So that's the only thing that I'm going to get into when it comes to the actual editing of the thumbnail. Okay. Another thing that you're going to need before you actually start editing your thumbnail, you're going to need screenshots or photos of yourself. Here's what I do. Literally, I will put my camera up on a tripod, and I have, let me see if it's right here on my desk, but the little ring light that I bought comes with a little clicker, all right, that I'm able to just click the button on there and it'll snap a photo. But I literally stand in front of a wall and I take a bunch of pictures doing different facial expressions. Okay, and I'm going to get into facial expressions, but I knocked them all out at one time. And now that you else, I'm wearing the same shirt, because the same black shirt, because I do all those thumbnails at the same time. So now whenever I go to create a thumbnail, I have photos already there to use. No, I don't know what thumbnail I'm going to use on what. And yes, I've used the same facial expression headshot thumbnail on multiple videos. People, they don't really know. They don't really look that deep into it. Okay, so you do not need to have a full-on professional photo shoot for your thumbnail images. All right. Okay, so let's actually get into the creating of thumbnails, and I am going to open up Canva here in a second, but let's get into the creating of thumbnails. Remember, I said earlier that with your thumbnails, you want them to attract. You want them to catch someone's attention. So we talked about your colors. We talked about your text. Now let's talk about your facial expressions. Facial expressions. There is 100% a reason why you see us in thumbnails doing things like, or looking angry, or making those different faces, right? The reason is because it makes someone curious. It makes someone curious about what you're doing, what you're talking about. Okay, so let's, as an example, let's just say I have the video, how to buy a home, or let's just say I have the title, should you buy a home right now? Okay, that's the title of my video. That's what my thumbnail is. But in my image on that thumbnail, I'm doing this. I'm doing a thumbs down. That automatically would make someone curious and think that I'm saying, no, don't buy a house right now. Oh, let me click on this thumbnail and see why he's doing that thumbs down. And I haven't even said anything in the video yet. This is still the thumbnail, right? Another thing, having multiple people in your thumbnail. So if you are doing a video, people are used to seeing you by yourself, but then next thing you know, they see a thumbnail with you and someone else, then it makes people curious. Okay. Think about those facial expressions: surprised, angry, shocked. Those are those are facial expressions you want to use in pretty much every thumbnail. The image where you are just doing your realtor headshot with your arms crossed, smiling, those don't do those don't do too well. Okay? So, always think about, how can you show an expression? Now, one thing that I've tested out with this facial expression and with your thumbnail images is, when you have an up close frame of your face, it tends to do a lot better than full body, even half body. Okay, so going straight up close to your face, to where your face is kind of covering that whole thumbnail, can do a lot better than showing your full body. Like Michelle's business card that we can see on the screen, that image right there, even though it's a lovely image, you look great, Michelle, that would convert a lot less than it being like I am right now with my face right up on the camera. Okay. So think about that as you are creating too. Facial expressions go a long way. I hate to say this also, when we're talking about emotions, okay? Controversy goes a long way when it comes to emotions. So not only you could be talking about a controversial topic in your video, but if you have a controversial image in your thumbnail, it can get more clicks. All right. What's a controversial image these days? Well, I hate to bring politics into this, but if we put a photo of Biden and Trump in a thumbnail, that spurs emotion. It spurs controversial emotion. It will get clicks, right? If you have a photo of, let's just say, a fancy car, that creates emotion in some people. It gets clicks. If you have money in your thumbnail, like, think about emotions, because people make emotional decisions when they're choosing to watch a video. Us as real estate agents, you're going to get a different result having a mega mansion in your thumbnail versus probably the normal homes that you and I sell all the time, because they produce an emotional response. Now, I want to bring up a word, and you've probably heard this word before, called clickbait. Clickbait.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Clickbait commonly refers to titles, right? So, for example, if I say that I made $1 million in 30 minutes doing this one trick in my title, and in that video, I'm not even talking about making that money. I'm not showing anybody how to make that money. That is clickbait. That is clickbait. Now, if I create a thumbnail, and if my video is about money, and I create a thumbnail and I have money in the thumbnail, that's not necessarily considered clickbait. That's considered marketing, right? Marketing for YouTube. You're trying to get people to click on it. You're not making a false claim. So typically, if I'm talking about interest rates or something, right? I may have a photo of a bank, and then I'll have a green arrow going up and a red arrow going down. You know, it's creative and it gets attention. People, they don't necessarily know, am I going to say that they're going up or are they going down? Okay, so think in that mind frame as you were creating thumbnails. Now, when it comes to text, the clickable text, right? Or what's going to make someone click on it. Here's the rule of thumb with text. The less, the better. The less, the better. Okay? I would say go without text if you can. If your visuals are creative enough, you can go without text. It'll have the same effect as if you did put a minimal amount of text. If you do put text, don't put any more than like 2 to 3 words. Okay? 2 to 3 words on there. Now, let's think. Remember, we're talking about attraction, getting people to click on it. You can also do words that would make someone want to click on it. So for instance, if we're talking about should you buy a house right now? That's my video title. But in my thumbnail, I have the word crash. Right? I didn't put that in my title, anything like that, but in my thumbnail, I have the word crash. That's going to get clicks. Okay? I don't need to have an explanation, a longer title, anything like that, right? People will see the thumbnail. If it catches their eye, then they will read the title. But you do not have to put your full title in the thumbnail. Let me grab your question right quick. When you say emotions, are you saying the emotion we want them to feel about the video, or just an emotion that's going to get them to click? More so an emotion that's going to get them to click, because you won't be able to really create an emotional response from someone by just the image, but you can create that visual emotion that is going to make them want to click versus not want to click. Does this look interesting or does this look boring? Does this is this attractive, or can I skip this? You know, that type of emotion. You want them to be interested in it. Now, whether they think your video is bad or good, that's going to happen when they start watching the video. But we're on the front lines right now. Does that make sense? Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So text. And then we also talked about faces and expressions. Another big thing before we get into designing that us as professionals commonly take into account is, hey, how do I put my branding on there? Do I need to put my logo on there? Things like that. Now, think about this. I want you to think about this. And this all goes to who you are trying to attract. Think about this. If I sent you a image and there was a logo on there, you'd probably think that I was advertising or I was trying to market to you. Okay? So, same thing with your thumbnails. Now, not saying you can't do any logos in your thumbnails or any branding. However, us as real estate agents, you don't need to have your full-on brokerage team logo in every single thumbnail. I've used logos before. My videos were, what's the best brokerage? And I had EXP, KW, Coldwell Banker, Remax. I had a bunch of logos in that thumbnail. People, they don't necessarily know which one I'm going to pick. I've done videos, EXP versus Keller Williams, and I had those two logos in there. Other than that, I don't typically recommend nor have logos in the thumbnail. Unless it's a video that you're going to make that logo super big. Remember, we talked about sizing, right? So if you got your little logo in the corner off to the side, nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to care. Now, what about the branding though? Because branding is more than just a logo. Colors. We talked about colors earlier. When it comes to colors, you can have a branded YouTube channel where all of your videos and thumbnails follow sort of the same theme. And I highly recommend that. Just FYI, you're probably going to change that theme a few times over the course of you creating videos. You know, as thumbnails, things start changing, you're probably going to change your theme. But I would recommend having a color scheme or a certain theme branding around your YouTube videos. From your channel art up top, all the way down to your thumbnails. Now, here's a common question that I get because people often wonder about playlists, right? Oh, I want to organize. I think I even talk about playlists in the Content Boss course. I want to organize it, make it look nice. You can have a different thumbnail scheme for your different playlists. Okay, that can give it even more of an organized look. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be redoing a bunch of my thumbnails because I want to make my page even more organized and looking good. Okay, so you can have a certain type of branding on your thumbnails and in your videos. But here's the thing about thumbnails, and this is important to write down. You're going to have to test thumbnails. Okay, you're going to have to test thumbnails. Here's why I say that, and I do this often. Remember, we said that the metric that YouTube is measuring when it comes to your thumbnails is click-through rate. So how many people are seeing this thumbnail and they're clicking to go watch the video? Well, if you have a very low click-through rate, that means people are not stopping in their tracks and clicking on the video. They're not curious enough. So when you notice that metric, guess what? Change the thumbnail. Change the thumbnail. I've changed thumbnails a few times on the same video just to get higher click-through rates. Same thing with titles. I've changed the titles of videos to get higher click-through rates. This is you now taking this seriously and measuring it like a business metric. So that click-through rate, if YouTube tells you, hey, we showed your video to 10,000 people, but only 15 clicked, you better change that thumbnail and change it fast, okay? Because they're going to stop pushing it out because they're going to think nobody wants to watch that video. Okay, so you do have to test thumbnails. Once you get that good, how do I say, like once you get that good controlled thumbnail, meaning like, hey, I tested this one worked well. Now create a very similar one for a different video or for your next video. If it does well again, now you're starting to get your whole branding. You're like, okay, this type of thumbnail with this look does very well on my videos. It gets me the highest click-through rate. Now, one thing about click-through rate, don't ever think it's going to be like 100% or 50%. A good value for click-through rate, anywhere between 5 and 8%, okay, is a good value for a click-through rate. But if you're not getting at least 4 or 5%, then change that thumbnail up. Okay, but you don't have to shoot for the moon with this. All right. Any questions so far? Any
I have a
questions?
question. So the size, back earlier, you were saying that 1280 by 720, that's for the art, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
And then where do you get that metric about the click through?
That's gonna be in your YouTube analytics for
Analytics.
the
Okay.
specific video. Yep. Yep. Any other
Click through
questions?
rate. Got it. I see it.
Yep. What yours looking like, James? If you don't.
6.5.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Okay. So yeah, once you get that good kind of good measure of click-through rate for a certain design or type of thumbnail, you can run with it, make it branded, make it your own, or continue to improve it. So I've done a lot of tests when it comes to thumbnails, meaning a picture of me versus no picture of me, expression versus non-expression, words versus no words, close up or far away. Like I've done a lot of tests when it comes to what gives me the good thumbnail variation. Okay, you're gonna notice if you look at my channel, I use certain thumbnails for like vlog types of videos, certain thumbnails for investment videos, certain ones for educational videos. There's all a reasoning behind it, right? And I'm constantly testing, constantly improving. So always keep in mind that it's not a one and done when it comes to your thumbnails. You want to keep it going. Okay, so I'm going to go over into Canva and I'm going to share my screen here. And before I get into creating the thumbnails, I'm going to show you all some that I have created in the past, and I'm going to explain to you my method or my thought pattern with it. All right. So let me switch my screen here. Give me a second. All right. Here I am in Canva. Okay. Somebody or all of you tell me some things that you notice about this thumbnail that we might have discussed today.
How you
Bold
have
letters.
The colors,
the colors,
the
Mhm.
colors, the
the
boldness.
facial expressions.
Yep. Yep. So this thumbnail, it didn't do too well. And I'm going to tell you why. I had too much going on in it.
Yeah,
Yeah. I had way too much going on in it. These numbers up here, this glow effect, it didn't do too well. This blended in too much. Basically, I had so many colors that it was hard to distinguish the differences in, these words, that word. It was just hard to tell what this video was actually trying to do. Okay. Now I'm going to show you the next one. Okay. What's the big difference you see in this one versus this one?
one color. Like the boldness in the colors and the numbers, and then just the facial expression.
Yep. So facial expression is something you're going to see in all of them. But this one, and you were absolutely right, the coloring. You see way more white in here from the background, this logo, this text here. And it pops more than this, where it's just so many other different colors going on. Okay, now what about a thumbnail where I do have a lot of colors? Let me show you this one. What do y'all think about this one?
Yeah, just the facial expression and no words.
Yeah,
No words.
it's simple.
Yep. Yep. So my background, one thing about this, remember we were talking about making it pop earlier. So instead of me just putting normal green money, putting this multicolored money makes a difference, right? And then with my facial expression, I didn't put any words. Curiosity there. Okay, curiosity. Let me show you another one.
So that one was to get them to click on that one with just curiosity, and then they click.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, what about this? So I have a for sale sign, have a house in the background, and it's a very nice looking house. Okay. Bright colors again. Okay. This one did pretty well. Now this next one, this is a concept we talked about, and I want y'all to tell me what angle was I going for with this next one.
Controversy.
Controversy.
Yeah, controversy. That was
Exactly it. Emotion wise, right? Think about that emotional response, someone looking at this. Okay, I have people here in the background, but it's red. It looks kind of scary. I have this picture looking kind of evilish, right? And then my expression is, I'm just shocked. I'm shocked. Another thing to create curiosity. Okay, curiosity. Let's look at the next one.
So that one says click and find out, right?
Exactly. Don't believe me, just watch. Okay. What about this one? Now, this one didn't do too well. And I already know why, but I want to see if y'all are thinking like me now. Why do you think this one didn't do too well?
Because Fizbos don't like realtors.
That's good. Yeah. So, and just to give you a little context, my goal for this video, because I'm talking about for sale by owner listings versus listing with a real estate agent. So my intention going into this was to create kind of a one versus the other, right? But here's my mistake, or here's my belief why it didn't do well. From the thumbnail, just looking at the thumbnail, the average consumer doesn't know the difference between these two, meaning this for sale by owner sign versus this just listed sign. We know because we're in the industry, we know what a for sale by owner sign looks like, and we know that this is a rider that we put on our signs. But I'm trying to make a contrast here, and consumer wise, they can't necessarily see the contrast because they're just not knowledgeable about it. Another thing, I could have made this a lot bolder to show separation, and my colors are kind of the same in both of these sides, right? So it doesn't necessarily separate the thumbnail like I would have hoped or like I was going for. Okay. So that's just something that I pick up on when I go back, look at analytics, testing, things like that. Okay. So what I want to do now is create a brand new thumbnail. Okay. I'm going to create a brand new thumbnail from scratch.
Could you just show us page 7 real quick?
What?
Page 7. I just have you just piqued my interest on page 7.
Page 7,
Okay.
this one. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So of course, this does something totally different, right? when we talk about contrast, you have dark on one side, lighter on the other side. Both of them look like what the heck is going on, but then this huge verses in the middle, and it's not necessarily talking about or showing real estate.
Right.
It's showing something completely irrelevant, right? But it's like, wait, what makes this about real estate? Or, and it's simply what I'm talking about in the video. It's a huge difference from these two when it comes to wanting to click.
Thank you.
All right. So let's start brand new. Somebody give me a video title.
Best neighborhoods to live in.
Best neighborhoods to live in. And what city are we talking about?
Seattle.
Seattle. Okay, so best neighborhoods to live in Seattle. Here's what I'm going to start. I'm going to start over here in my elements, and I'm going to look at what some pictures of Seattle are looking like. Okay. Now, looking at these photos, I'll tell you which ones. Obviously, I would never choose any of these right here. This one could be interesting. Okay. This one could be interesting. And like this is literally my thoughts pattern. This one is a possibility. Okay, so I'm seeing, if you notice what I'm looking for, I'm looking for, even with me scrolling, what stops my eye, right? What jumps out at me, whether it's something bright, something interesting. I'm just trying to even think for myself, like what stops me in my scroll. Okay. I'm not seeing any more, right? So here's what I'm gonna do now. Give me one neighborhood name, or do you know Seattle, James? No. Okay.
Yeah. So yes, Seattle's like the big city that we would like to say, people know the area, but yeah, I know Everett better. So I really should have said Everett.
Okay. Okay. No, it's all good. So let's take Seattle. Now, I could completely run with this as my thumbnail, right? I'm gonna get rid of those. I can completely run with this, right? Just to, hey, it's straight up Seattle. I don't need to do anything else, right? Or here's a thought, something that I would do. Bad neighborhood. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find broken home. I'm gonna find an image, and I want to find an image of an area or a home that looks kind of jacked up from the outside. Oh, that looked like a hurricane came through. Where was that other one that I had? This one. So what I might do is take this one. Okay, I'm gonna start with that one, and I'm gonna put nice home.
Why the background? Is that just your colors, your theme?
Oh no, I just haven't changed it yet. I
Oh,
just
okay,
haven't
okay.
done anything
Okay.
to it yet. Okay. So I have these two images that I want to run with. I'm going to go over here into elements, and I'm going to choose a grid, and I'm going to go with this grid. I'm going to drop this one over here. I'm going to drop this one over here. Okay. Now we were talking about background. Let me change this background to yellow. Put that yellow in between that right there. And then I would take it even a step further. And again, you know, we all start off testing, right? I would pull a bar around here like that, change that to black. I mean, no, I want that to go black. Then now I would come through with my text, and let's find a really bold font. Remember we talked about bold font. This one can do well. I'm going to change this to yellow. And I'm going to put this, not that. And let me see how big I can make that. Or even better, here, not there. And I'm going to make this smaller. Okay, so this is a thumbnail that I would potentially run with. Okay, now when we're talking about these neighborhoods and choosing, let me move this up. Choosing, or the video is about the best neighborhoods, right? What this thumbnail is telling me is I could potentially be here, right? But I want to be here, but I need to know what this is versus this. I could possibly be choosing the wrong neighborhood, right? So something else I do with all of my images. So I just clicked on the images. I'm going to go to edit image. And I'm going to play around with these adjustments. Okay. The ones I always pretty much adjust are going to be the brightness, then the contrast a little bit, then saturation. You see what saturation is doing? It's making it more colorful. Okay. Then I'll come down and I will adjust the blur, but I'll turn it down. Okay. That's how you get that real sharp look there. So people can make it out when they're scrolling. Okay. Same thing for the other side. Even though the other looks like it's good in color, I still make adjustments. I don't really need to do, I can do the brightness going down on that one. So you see, I just adjusted the brightness going down on this one. And what did that do? It made my blues even more bluer. I'll turn that contrast down just a little bit. Turn my saturation up just a tad. Take that blur down. Show those lines. Boom. Here's a thumbnail for that video. Okay. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to add in a logo. You don't have to add in any text. I mean, any headshots of you, anything like that. And tell me now, seeing this, let's just say you were scrolling, right? What do you think this video is going to be telling me or telling you if you watch it?
Like what? Like the best
You want-
neighborhoods to buy in or something?
Right.
Best places to live or something?
Yep. Even without seeing a title. Even without seeing the title. And there is no need to put Seattle, because that's going to be in your title, right?
It would be like, would I live here or would I live there?
Exactly. Yep. Or I want to live here and not live there, right? So I'm curious. So if we put these two up against each other now, which one stands out more? Which one you think would have a higher click-through rate? Number one or number two?
Number two.
I don't know. I would say number one.
Okay. Well, let's go and check it. So here's how you can always kind of check. Best neighborhoods in Seattle. Okay. So if I'm looking at the other thumbnails, right, I got a lot of them. I see a lot of them that have just that city skyline map, right? And remember, your goal, especially with thumbnails, is even to stand out from the others, right? And so you always can come back and check, like, look at this one. Is it safe to live here? Right? Top 5 safest areas in Seattle is the title, but her thumbnail, is it safe to live here? Gives you questions, right?
So I have a question. So are you saying like go against what everybody else is doing, like as far as standing out, or do
It's not
we go?
necessarily it's not necessarily go against, it's more so will you stand out against the other ones.
Okay. Even if their thumbnail is doing well, you don't know if their thumbnail is doing good, do you? Just because they have a lot of likes, is that saying the thumbnail is good or?
No.
Okay.
Because thumbnail is just measuring your click-through rate. Okay. So it's just measuring if someone clicks on the video. Now, when we get into algorithms, and y'all can refer back to the curriculum for that, click-through rate is just one of those measurements. And so YouTube pushing that video out, it's saying, let's just say you released a video right now and YouTube showed it to 10 people and 9 of those people clicked on it, right? You have a high click-through rate. So YouTube says, okay, now we're going to show it to 100 people. Then we're going to show it to 1,000 people. Then we're going to show it to 10,000. And if that same trend keeps happening, right, then you can get views, you can get clicks, you can get likes and all of that. And at that point, it's more so probably measuring your content, the substance of the video, right? But when it comes to that initial click-through rate, it's, and I can probably guarantee you a lot of these bigger creators have changed their thumbnails for this a couple of times, right? Because you want to get that initial click-through rate. Once you measure that, if it's not doing well, go back and change it. If it is, you don't have to worry about it. It's very hard to, okay, look at this. Look at this one. So this person only has 200 subscribers, 208, but on this video they have 9.3 thousand views, right? Which means this kind of tells me that it was a pretty attractive video to catch people's attention, right? She has a good thing going on, right? She knows her style, and her style of her videos are getting results, right? Which is why she keeps doing them like that. You can clearly see this is where we're talking about branding. Like we said earlier, we can clearly see someone's brand now as it relates to how she's doing her videos. Okay, but again, this is one of those things you have to test, because even with this, I can create probably 3 more different thumbnails for this same video, right? So let's do one where we are now bringing a person into it, okay? So I'm gonna add another one, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get my image first, uploads, and then let me see if I can find an image with me having a little bit of an expression. Okay, here's one. I'm gonna go to edit, Then in my edits, why is it not showing me all my little options? Background remover. Remove that background out of that. Okay, got my background out. Do some sizing.
Hey, Chase, while you're working on that, how did you get the silhouette? Is that an editing piece?
Yep. So in Canva, you're gonna add your image there. Okay. Then you're gonna
Okay,
click
follow.
edit image and then background remover.
Ah, love it. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So I got my image there. Now I'm gonna come and use this one that we had earlier. All right. So I got that one. And then let's see. I want to go ahead and because I'm clearly not in this place, right? And I can't be on top of the city like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit it again. And I'm going to add a border around it. So I'm in shadows, see all, and I'm going to add this little glow around the image. I'm going to edit that glow and let's see what yellow looks like. Or let me see, white. Probably want to go with white. Turn that blur down, make that size a little larger, turn that transparency up. Okay, and again, these are all just settings here in Canva. So just like last week when we were talking about the videos, just click around, move these toggles up and down, see what they do. Okay.
Is
So I
this a
got
paid version in Canva?
yes, I have a Teams version. But you shouldn't not see those options in there though. Because I think those options come standard.
Okay, I think I missed the how you got the white around your silhouette.
Yep. So I'm gonna go back. All right. So I got my image here. So I'm gonna click on edit image. Then I'm gonna scroll down to shadows, see all, and I chose the glow. Okay, so it put a little glow behind me, but to change the options with that glow, you'll have to click on these 3 lines here. And then here's where you can select the different options. So I turned the blur all the way down. I turned the transparency all the way up. I clicked on the color. I changed it to white. And then I changed the size of it. So how big I want that glow to be. Now, don't do it like this, where it's skinny like that. Remember, this is a thumbnail. It'll go a lot smaller. So give yourself a little cushion there. Okay. Then I click apply. Like with all of my images, like I said, we still make those adjustments to the brightness. Not that bright. Contrast, saturation, and take that blur down a little bit, just a little bit. All right, so now I got that. For text, here's what I'm just gonna put. I'm gonna put top 5. Okay, let me get my bold font there. And then I'm going to make it a lot bigger. Actually, I'm gonna put that on a different line. Because we got all this space here. So I got top 5 there. I don't like this spacing in between here. So here's what I can do. I can highlight everything. And this little button here on your formatting in Canva is the spacing. So I can take that and pull that line spacing down so it doesn't put too much space in between those two lines. I can pull my letter spacing down too, so it brings my letters closer together. Okay, I want to turn my text to, actually, maybe I want to keep it black. Okay, maybe I want to keep my text black, and I'm going to do an effect on my text to where I have an outline, and I can put my outline in white. Okay, it'll let you change the thickness and everything too. I don't think that was white. Okay. Okay, so now in this thumbnail, right, my video title is still best neighborhoods in Seattle, but now I have top 5. And just knowing me, most people would probably do top 5 or top 10. So what I might do is, just for click purposes, click-through rate, I may put top 2 or top 7, right? So now I'm competing against that person who is going to just do top 5, top 3. I'm giving you 7. Okay? One other thing you can do. Now, I may not do it with, I probably wouldn't recommend doing it with this video. See, okay, so that's something that I forgot. Look, Seattle's known for this thing, right? This staple, and I have my picture covering it up. So in this case, I would move my picture off to the side, move that off to the side a little bit. Okay, so now you can clearly see that it's Seattle. One other thing that I would probably do is add a location pin or something in there, just to add in a little character to it. Where I want to put it, maybe right there. Okay, that bright color red, it can stop someone, and it just all goes, in my opinion, so it just all works together. So now we got this thumbnail, this one, and this one, all very different thumbnails, and they're going to get you different results. But this is what the testing part of it looks like. You're not just testing, oh, maybe I'll use a different image of Seattle. No, you're testing a different thumbnail concept, right? Heck, maybe they might not want to see me. So this may get lower clicks than this, right? Who knows? You can test putting top 7 for this text instead of here, not there, and vice versa. You can test this one with no text, right? So all of that comes into testing. Now, I'm not saying spend all your day and time testing. However, it's important to test so that way you get the best results from it. All right. I know that was a lot, and it was a lot of info packed in. Any questions or feedback about what we went over today? I see you in the comments, James. Yep, this was dope.
It's phenomenal, man. I mean, so simple but so creative, and I never thought about capturing those facial expressions up against just a blank background and just locking those in into my archive. It's like you're just loading up your your quiver of arrows, and just got all these different arrows you can fire out. That's phenomenal. That's just a great, nugget of wisdom to share. Appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
So, Jason, I have a question, and I don't want to take up too much time, but I have a podcast, and we post to YouTube, and we use a thumbnail where it's pretty standard. But I've never really just paid attention to, oh, does this thumbnail work or anything like that? So this is really helping me. Can I show you a thumbnail? Because I'm about to upload another one. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do it wrong now that I've taken this class. Can I show you a thumbnail that I'm about to use and you tell me if it's good? Because it seems like it has everything you kind of said, but I don't know if it may have too much wording on it or something like that.
Yeah, sure. Send it to me in your private channel.
Okay,
and
I
then
will.
I'll give you feedback there.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All righty. All right, y'all. Well, knock it out the park this week. Have fun creating those thumbnails. We got another training coming up later in the week. Hope to see y'all there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing these thumbnails that catch my eye from y'all's videos. All right.
Hey, I'm still batching, so you won't see anything from me this week, but I'm working on it.
Okay, James. All right. Sounds good. All right, y'all. Have a great week.
Congrats on being an uncle.
Thank you.
You got a nickname now?
Not yet. I gotta see.
Uncle Chase. It's Uncle Chase.
Yeah.
I love it.
She's like, obviously. Yeah.
Yes, it only makes sense.
Yes. Thank y'all.
I'm gonna tell you, you are a genius, man. You are a genius.
Thank you.
Are you a movie fan? Are you a movie fan?
Yeah, I like movies.
So I'm gonna take you back. The Dutta Man from New Jack City.
Okay.
Don't remember that? Pure, unadulterated genius, my man. So I'm gonna just say you got me hyped up, man. Pure, unadulterated genius, man. You are the man. I appreciate you, brother.
That gets me hyped. All right, y'all.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta hop off of here.
Right.
I will see y'all later in the week.
All right.